Put it in Nightmares Adventures.
There you go.
Holy criminy. Check that out. Gordon Browning.
Hi, April. Share this out, guys. Good, how are you?
Did one of them, last week, but I never put it on anything. It's a,
Video?
yeah, the thing is that there's a few apps that you do this whole museum, by the time you're done, you're sitting there about 8 to 10 minutes and you're going pretty hard there, cause we've got the big downstairs as we are upstairs.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's I mean, this room's all Browning, and the reason I'm here is because I'm the last kinfolk living that worked for nothing. It's one of the things that, you know, because it's family, you have to do it. It's like, people say, why would you do that for free? And I said, well, cancer disabled me, and I said, at least I can do is open the door and talk to her now and then.
Right, there you go.
No, my dad was over it and then he passed away, but, well, actually, we had a staff of 5 people in here and my dad was.
So you're not city funded or anything like that?
Yeah, we're funded by the
Okay.
city, the county, the state. And I really can't tell you all, but it probably goes federal because we go through the Tennessee Historical Commission. I used to be a commissioner with them and, I used to was one of the people that voted on whether or not what got what. You wouldn't believe how small the list is in the state. It's only about 20 sites that actually have an appropriation of money by the Historical Commission.
We are in McKenzie, Tennessee, Browning Museum, Gordon Browning Museum.
Yep. Governor Gordon Browning.
Yep.
Former governor of the state of Tennessee.
Also, something that you might not know, he was FDR and Truman's officer that was put in Eisenhower staff. And people don't really realize that if you get in there and get the documents, when he told Eisenhower to do it, he had complete authority by the United States government. So, and technically, you have a few times that he disagreed with Eisenhower, and Eisenhower just came back, yes sir. And I'll give you one example. When they were planning D-Day in England, Eisenhower had all the Allied commanders and staff sitting there in the room, and they're 25 minutes past, and finally somebody asked him, said, General Eisenhower, what's the holdup? He said, we're waiting for the captain that controls the general. And, you know, Dwight Eisenhower became the Allied overall commander at that meeting, and they were waiting for, you look at the patch on his coat over here, that's actually Eisenhower's staff. He was a World War I vet and a lieutenant colonel, what he ended up with, but he was in command of all the generals through the government. So
Wow.
it's more or less a civil commander, but to show you the power of him, after the Marshall Plan, he was the key person that was telling General Marshall what to do. Then the Nuremberg trials were before he was in charge of the Nuremberg trials. Whenever they created the Atomic Energy Commission, he was he was old then too. He was one of the key people. So FDR Truman more or less made him, it'd be almost like today that if somebody over the Pentagon, like the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Wow, that's pretty crazy, man.
It
That's
is
pretty cool.
because the county don't really, and the the state knows, but the county does not realize just how big a reach he had. And I ain't meaning to sound conspiracy theory, but when they got rid of George Patton, and they definitely did get rid of him, because he was fixing to expose what the Russians were gonna do in the Cold War, he took his place, and of course, Patton, as you probably know in Mannheim, ends up being run over by a truck, and he ended up dying as a result. And Eisenhower was afraid that we're gonna tell about what was coming after, which became the Cold War. And of course, Browning knew it too, but that's that line where they made a choice, and Browning wouldn't have had a choice, but if FDR said, don't allow it, Browning would say the word and the whole world would listen. It's weird, you started out in a log cabin, a little bitty, unknown, person, this average Carroll County, real farm, not much money.
A lot of interesting stuff in here.
Our state immediately changed from.
Now, is that an authentic German flag?
Yeah, that's actually, they claim a naval flag, the people before me, but that would have hung from a balcony of the building. That flag wouldn't fly, it's bunting, and my dad used to tell everybody, said, no, the guy that captured that flag said that it came off a naval ship, and I looked the guy up and he was in infantry, and I'm like, no, that came off the building, and it probably came from Nuremberg trial. You come here, I'll show you something in the center of the points why I'm saying that. This uniform is the sergeant from Lavinia, Tennessee, that was the sergeant at arms, and it's Goering's in here 3 different times. And I never did used to brag about this because it's just an odd thing to sit there and stare at signatures. But that cigar was in Goering's hand, and he gave it to Browning. So it's just weird that how you get the idea that Eisenhower's in command when in truth you've got two presidents saying this is what you're gonna do, and they basically let him do anything he wanted. When I don't know if you've seen movies that show him crossing the Rhine River. Patton went across it first, and he had it shot 5 different times, but Browning's got a picture of himself, and Patton not crossed yet, and
Wow.
He's the one that guided him across, but I've never found any records showing the two of them ever talk.
I'll be dang.
Of course, Patton, one of my biggest heroes, I thought Browning was sort of a softy, because you read every battle account, and it's sort of, in World War I, he talks as if it was humorous to him because they were about to do the first armistice, they believed, in between Germany and the Allied forces in World War I.
Yeah.
And Browning got 2 captains in his command to go out and get in a machine gun bunker so that they could be in the middle and watch the actual surrender. Well, the Germans hadn't surrendered. The other 2 guys' diaries are talking about, my God, we thought we were going to die. The building was falling down around us, and all this talking about the gore that they were in. And Browning, when I read his account, was the first one I'd ever read about that. He said, dirt flew up in my face, and I was just like, and that's all you got to say about that. You actually broke the rules too.
Dang.
But he was just a captain then, but he was he was senior captain of a field artillery unit.
Cool.
He's got I can't think of how to explain the guy, but at the end of World War I, he was the one that, I don't know how, but he ended up being the one that went into the Kaiser's house first. And he took the Kaiser's German Shepherd and brought him back home and raised pups from it. And they're actually buried at his birthplace.
Oh, wow.
So that dog in that room,
Yeah.
that dog is actually named Kaiser because it was the Kaiser's personal dog, and Browning brought
Oh,
him home.
wow.
He seemed to just, I can't tell you of a luckier person to get in the middle of everything always, but it's one of them silent people American history just totally leaves out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because he was the only Browning in my family that stayed in Carroll County. All my Brownings moved to Milan. He graduated from Milan High School in 1908, and he had only been in Milan about 3 years, and then he stayed in Gibson County till they went to college and got his law degree and all that. But the whole family by then are living in Gibson County.
Oh, wow.
And, I mean, we trace way back too, as far as our Browning heritage. My great grandmother was his first cousin, and they live next door to me. But like I said, all of them are in Milan, or some of them a little bit away from Milan, pretty much, and they're all buried in Milan,
Oh, wow.
except for him.
I'll be dang.
And something you may not know, but it's humorous about Carroll County. They have a Democrat and a Republican cemetery. And people don't realize that Clark Cemetery is a Democrat cemetery, so there are people still burying today based upon party affiliation.
I'll be dang.
And of course, you know, the Democrat cemetery is full because all West Tennessee was Democrat up until we get to that 1960s, 70s.
Yeah.
And the Republican cemetery, it makes modern Republicans go into it and they look at who's buried there and they're offended by them because they're people that were pretty bad
Oh, my
in
goodness.
the war, so it contradicts, you know, the sentiments of the way they are.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta go back all the way into early Republican politics and who was the most progressive.
Crazy stuff in here.
Yeah, there's too much stuff in here. The secretary told me about a month and a half ago, said, unless it's a general, do not accept one more uniform. We've got one of everything, and we actually have more than you can see right now.
Oh, wow.
You know who the next person was that came in here? A general. And she said, you didn't accept that stuff, did you? And I said, yeah. I can't turn down a general. And
No.
I think he was a 30-year veteran, but
Wow.
Browning pretty well was.
It's a little crazy in here, guys. Sorry about that. This lags a little bit.
Do what?
I was talking to these people on live stream here.
Oh, okay, I got you. I've been there too. I was a history professor that taught over TV for a long time. If you told me in the beginning, I would have used my correct accent and my correct. I used to have to change literally when I went into the classroom, the way we talk here. I didn't have to, but when you went in, it was like I had a different voice and everything else. And because when you're looking at yourself on the TV screen,
Yeah.
it freaks you out.
Oh,
And
I know.
I had 2 classes that were on screens on both sides, and I had one in the room with me. So one point I told her, I said, can y'all move me over in the corner? I said, I don't want to sit there and stare at myself talk the whole time. I said, it's freaking me out. Somebody, but I understand.
We prefer everybody to be themselves. You know, we don't want you to change anything. Just be yourself.
Oh yeah.
That's-
You know, the funny thing is when I was going to get my higher degrees to become a professor, they taught me a different type of writing, and in order for me to get my degree,
Man, I wish y'all could see all
I had
these
to
old
write that way.
uniforms and stuff in here.
And when you read it, you can't even understand it. And you know, everybody hates history books.
Yeah.
They're not. That's because they teach us how to write. And you're exactly right. It wasn't until I went back to being me, my book started selling again. The way they told me, it was like nobody wanted
Yeah.
any.
You have to be yourself.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at
Yeah,
it.
it's got to be a passion,
Yeah.
something burning in your soul to write it down. If it ain't, it just turns out to be,
Bleh.
yeah.
That's the only way you can say it is bleh.
Yeah, and it's sad. The book that I wrote I ended up getting published after it, was my dissertation with the University of Memphis. But when I read it to edit it, I had to start all over because I couldn't even understand what I was saying. I was reading it because this is what
You were writing it the way they taught you.
Yeah, and
Instead of-
and I graduated with honors and I went on and became a professor. But the thing is I had to write my book again and put it back in order like it's supposed to be. And it ended up, it's pretty, I let it go out of print on purpose. And there was a reason behind that. I wanted it mainly on the reservations, and it was, cause I was an indigenous history professor.
Yeah.
And I think I had 1,000 left, and I took 8 cases, and when I got there, I figured, I probably ain't gonna sell one case, but they came out and they said, how many do you have? And I said, well, I've got 800 of them out there in the car, so we'll take them all. And I'm like, well, I'll give you a break on that, because it is on the reservation, and it's
Yeah.
money to stay there anyhow. But they somehow knew that book was going to rise in value. And the first time one day somebody said, you need to look your book up. And keep in mind, professors, they thought that, because I wrote the old way again, they thought that was bad. So
Yeah.
they didn't like it. But
What's the name of your book?
$9,000 is the highest price I've seen for a used copy. Right now it's about $150, but every Christmas it goes way up. And the book to me is not worth reading. The guy, I taught a guy that I didn't teach him. He was a key author, and he asked me to help him on a book. And when I did, it took my book's information and put it with his, and he ended up writing a much better book. And so I tell people you can get his for $9 used, or you can buy mine for $900.
Yours is the original, though.
Yeah, well, mine's got rolls in the back that others don't.
Right,
It
right.
sets it aside.
And what was the name of your book?
Oh, that's Heart of the Eagle Dragon Canoe. I don't even have a copy in here to show you. I don't even own a copy.
Oh my goodness, that's too
All my
bad.
kids and my wife have a copy, but I don't.
Oh man, it's too bad because I would love to get it.
You can get Cherokee Dragon by Robert Conley, and you get everything that I wrote, plus he finishes the story, and he's a well-known author. He was. I mean, he passed away in 2014, but
Yeah.
I guided him through. We just basically talked on the phone for about 3 months straight. I never even asked him where he was located, but he lived in Silva at Western Carolina University, somewhere. It's right off the reservation, but he was somewhere in there. I always thought it was in Oklahoma, but I never even asked him. And it wasn't until after he passed away that one day I found him on Finder Grave, and I clicked on it. When I did, it said, do you want to manage it? So I took it over, and it's weird that such a highly renowned author literally had no memorial biography or anything. So now he has one.
Cool.
And his wife don't know it, but I published, I'll change the pictures and put different books of his, and her book sales of her husband's have been going up ever since.
Good.
He's good. I mean, he was a real good author. And some people tell me the one he wrote about Dragon Canoe was not as fun to read as his other ones were.
Huh.
So, but I've got it. I've never read it completely through because, we talked about it. I already knew what he had in it.
Yeah, yeah. It'd run it, then.
He had to get too technical because so much of Cherokee history is completely hidden.
Oh, wow.
That they don't want anybody to know about it. So that's why it took. You got to give a lot of background to make people understand the truth about Tennessee and where it came from. And the books over there, you get into every one of them. They talk about the Chickasaw selling West Tennessee and West Kentucky. They never lived here. And they asked them, and they told them, we can't sell land to begin with, but even if we did, we're not in control of West Tennessee or West Kentucky. And so the Chickasaw leader, he left, and one of the is a newer family that was mixed between a trader and an Indian named Colbert. And Colbert's agreed to sell it to him based on the fact that he reasoned, if you're willing to give me money for something I don't own, I'm willing to take it.
Right.
So
Right.
he did. So the Indians didn't. There were no Indians here in West Tennessee. Whenever any event that you could think of, the last time Indians had been seen in the state, this part of the state, was in 1683, and the Chickasaw had a weird boundary that goes to the Hatchie River that they could hunt to. But
Yeah.
when the original people were here, the Tenexanya, they're the Gihah Dakota is what they are. But when they were here, what happened is the flooding and the earthquakes, and eventually they moved and joined their, it's like a sister tribe, the Biloxi.
Oh, yeah.
Most people don't know Biloxi's tribal name. And so they went to live down there, and there are no Tenexanya. Most people call them the Ofo, but all the airheads and everything that are found around here, the scientists will tell you they can't be identified per tribe. That's garbage. The scientists are trying to imply something that is not even provable. And they say, well, we can't identify these bones. And the other day I talked to one, I said, you can't identify them? He said, no one can. And I said, so you're telling me you've not done DNA yet on these bones? And I don't know if you know, Tennessee holds the third largest collection in the United States of human remains.
Yeah.
Under the UT football field.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's, that's the problem is they don't, they don't want to identify them. They're not doing anything with them either, but they don't know who to give them to, and you're in a bind. If you give them to the wrong people, what happens? They
Yeah.
identified 4,000 of them as being Cherokee, and those were reinterred at, and they built a new mound literally for them back up, be about 1960s. And in the 70s, they buried another one that they knew for sure, which is Aganstata, is how you say his name. He was the great warrior, and they buried him back where he was because the person that buried him gave the exact place why they did it the way they did it. When they found everything just like it said, it became the only identifiable person of that 11,000 skeletons.
Wow.
The Tokal Mound is different. They know the Tokal Mound actually has 4,000 Cherokee, but like I said, there's 11,000 of them left, and they're sitting in
Yeah.
shoe boxes. That's what we
Oh, that's
call
a
it.
shame.
It's sort of hard when you talk about state history, and you have to really go back to comprehend Tennessee. And
Yeah.
if you ever read that it's Cherokee word, it's not. And if you ever read it's a Muskogee word, it's not. And if they would pay attention to the people that were here first, which were the Yuchi people, they would have known it's Tanasqui, and it means a holy road, or a road between two holy places. It's talking about Chota, which is Ichati in Cherokee, and Gitawa or Katua, which are two mounds across the mountains. And y'all may know the road, the Dragon.
I don't know.
You know the Dragon?
No.
It's people that ride Harleys love it because it literally you can see. That's all my family you're looking at there. That bunch is. That's
Wow.
Robinsons and yeah, the Dragons. What the state name comes from is Tanasqui, but when the Muskogee people started moving into East Tennessee, they said simply Tanasi, and it means the same thing, but a bunch of myths came up about where the state got its name, and now you'll read Andrew Jackson named it after the Cherokee word, which he never claimed it, he didn't do it. There's statements that say William Koch, the state representative, actually did it first, but he didn't do it, and no one knows who the person was that chose it. But I don't know if y'all know, the university actually was there before the state of Tennessee existed.
Uh,
It opened 1 year earlier.
wow. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I made it so long that it was like, you know how that goes.
Stupid spam calls.
Yeah, I know, like I just got one of them.
Come on, decline it. There.
I swear I block more of them than I do real calls.
Oh, I got it 50 times a day at least.
Yeah,
Hate them things.
there's something unique up there where he was pointing to that, my dad, ran this place as a genealogical library, and when I came here, I started bringing the historical side, and we'd argue sometimes, but on the other hand, we made a pair together because he was better on the genealogy, but something I discovered on one of them two big pictures that, also tells you something about Browning. His favorite presidents were Hoover and, Wilson, which I can't stand Wilson, and I love Hoover. On the other hand, what happened was, let me see if I can find it, if it's right here. In 1923, he sponsored that woman to become a representative. So he is actually the head of the feminist women's rights movement and the right to vote. When Armed Forces Day came up, he was with MacArthur, and they did it first in Nashville. So, like I said, every time you turn around, it's like he did something else.
Pretty cool.
And there is a downstairs, but it gets just a wee bit boring. I mean, there's two exhibits that are not bad. One of them's tools to build a cabin, and it's quite extensive, and the other one, part of it came from Christmasville, and it just looks like a home setting. I mean, you can go look at it if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not very good with stairs, so.
Yeah.
I'm not either. That's why I don't walk or stand. You know?
I'm gonna go this way and kind of
Yeah,
check
look,
things
we need to
out.
get going. We need to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get you wanna go all, just go where you want. If you
Okay.
wanna go downstairs,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you.
Some people get scared downstairs.
Oh my goodness. They've got so different, so much stuff. I can't really get that. I'm a little too short. They've got all kinds of stuff. I'm not really into the German stuff because I know bad things about them. My dad was from the old country. My adopted dad. And I won't get into that. Wow, look at all these. There's some neat stuff here. Wow. I'm going to venture down. Oh, you can't really see that. I'll get that on the way back up. Lighting down here is really bad, so. Can't really see too much. They've got all kinds of stuff here. Like I said, the lighting here is really bad. I can't even hardly see what's in here. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, wow. The old dresses. G. Featherstone. He's from Nashville. Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. Yeah. Let's venture a little bit more. See what we can see. A lot of darkness. I think we're good here, guys. Oh, wow. I didn't notice these. Check them fans out. Them are beautiful. Old Icepex. Wow. All right, guys. Let's venture back up.
Yeah.
Now you can see some of this stuff better.
Mary.
Yeah. Yes, dear.
You didn't turn light, did you go down the hallway?
No, I didn't turn the lights on. I'm like,
I'll tell you one thing, probably better that you didn't go alone anyhow, because it tends to freak out even the strong.
I'll bet you, I don't think
Oh,
it.
it might not do you that way, but I'm gonna tell you, even me, I'm not one that bothers, but when you go down there, you always are like somebody looking like.
We love the ghost hunt.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you went down that hallway, you would've been, it don't bother you, it's a feeling, something's watching you always.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, we love ghost hunting.
If you think about this museum,
Wouldn't doubt it, there wasn't spirits attached to it.
Exactly.
if you were to think about how many of these uniforms and these weapons kill people or died in it, if any place is gonna be haunted, it's definitely this one.
Yes, because there's a lot.
You never know what spirits are going to attach themselves.
Yep, they're going to attach themselves to certain things. All right. All right, well, thank you very much. This has been great.
Come back next time and I'll be quiet the whole time.
Okay. Wow. This place has been great, guys. Okay. Oh! All right.
Damn, he loved that better than I did. That guy liked to talk.
Hey, I enjoyed that.
That's what happens when you go to a museum, people.
It's great to get. I let him tell things, and
Yeah, and I'll probably use like 5 minutes of that.
yeah, it's a shame because a lot of it is.
Yeah, but people don't care about that stuff.
I know, and that's lost. It's lost, and it's a shame. But it tells about the Indians, the Cherokee, and all of them, and how the state got its name.
Some interesting stuff in there, though.
Oh yeah. I don't want to tell you what that looks like though.
What? This place?
That right there, KKK.
Probably.
That's associated. I know the markings and stuff. And it's not because of the rebel flag either. Well, I think I'm going to cut this down, don't you? Folks, this has been fun. And, oh, well, it stopped anyway. Somehow or another.
You may have just been walking around holding a camera.
I hope not.